Many Cook County residents are reeling today from a whopping property tax bill that came out late and much higher than expected. Chicago's south and west sides are seeing some of the biggest increases. Our political reporter Chris Ty has more on why downtown may be to blame and what some residents are doing about it.
The pain is real here in North Lawndale, where property tax bills are going up on average 98%. In West Garfield Park, it's up over 130%. And one of the main reasons why is because of what's happening or not happening over there in downtown Chicago, where in the Loop, they've collected 129 million fewer property tax dollars this year than they did last year.
My property taxes went up 75.86%. And so
Richard Townsell of North Lawndale has a friend who saw his jump 237%.
My wife and I, we had a budget meeting last week as we were looking at this. You know, does that mean maybe we don't take the vacation we thought we were going to take?
Thank you all for coming.
A frustration that this weekend led to this bill burning, led by the Lawndale Christian Development Corporation, which he is executive director.
It was a Boston Tea Party kind of moment where it's like taxation without representation. What do we do about this? Not just whine about it.
One idea is to lobby for a state law in Illinois, similar to one in California, that caps property tax hikes at no more than 2% a year. Consider Englewood residents saw an 82% jump this year, an average of $609. In North Lawndale, it was $1,900, and in Garfield Park, it was $2,000.
I think it's incumbent upon us as citizens to give our elected officials what we want. We should be pressing them around the bills that we want to see, not waiting for them to come up with a solution.
The problem, County Treasurer Maria Pappas says, is what's happening downtown.
All these high-rises, commercial buildings that you see downtown are unrented because the businesses have left the city. So somebody had to pick it up. So the residences are picking it up.
Picking it up begrudgingly.
I think government needs to learn how to live in their means, because guess what? You and I don't get a 100% increase on our pay.
Residents burning mad over the way government is spending more than they have. In North Lawndale, Chris Ty, CBS News, Chicago.
All right. Good morning. Peace and blessings, everybody. It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. And I am back once again with a new video. And this is going to be a very informative video. And as the title says, Mayor Johnson's tax hike, what Chicago homeowners need to know. And as you know, Mayor Brandon Johnson ran on a campaign 2 years ago before he became mayor of Chicago, saying that he was not unequivocally going to raise your property taxes, specifically property taxes. That was a lie, because he has not only raised them several times, but as the city of Chicago was at a $1.15 billion deficit, and I called it several times, along with others, that he had no choice but to raise the citizens' property taxes. And in this video, we're gonna break down as to why and what led to this. But before we do, and as always, I have to go ahead and read this disclaimer. Let's blow that up right quick. All right. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of Copyright Act 1976. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All right. So we can stop that right there. Yes, sir. We moving right along. But yeah, just a brief overview of everything that's been going on. And as you saw in that video recently, The Chicago citizens and surrounding areas were met with quite the surprise when they reached into their mailbox and saw that their property taxes, unbeknownst to them, and many times not only doubled but tripled, some quadrupled out the blue. And a lot of that is due to the policies of Brandon Johnson, a socialist, communist approach to trying to solve the deficit. It never works. And what I mean by that is that he proposed to tax the richest, most wealthiest people to raise their taxes to try to compensate for the budget. Now, all that's going to do is force those people out that are the most wealthiest people. The people that actually provide resources such as jobs. They have businesses, they pay taxes. Quite naturally, being the most wealthiest people, they pay the most taxes. So when you raise their taxes, what you do is you force them to relocate to other places, right? So that's what's happened. So whenever you hear people like Zoran Mondami and these other socialists talk about tax the rich, all that does is forces the rich, wealthy people out, and that tax burden falls on the shoulders of the middle class. And that's what's happening right here in Chicago, in a brief summary. But the city council committee in Chicago, a group of professionals, have given Brandon Johnson many alternatives, I should say, to not have to raise anybody's taxes. All you have to do is take certain cuts. And we're going to get to that right now. Yeah, let me get this video up for you, because see, when you propose to do certain policies, like he had one called a head tax. So basically, that head tax is what that does is every corporation that has more than 100 employees, they charge them $21 a head every month. So if you got a company that has 205 employees, you got to pay an extra $21 per head for each employee every month. Now that's like penalizing your corporations. Now this special committee sat down with Brandon Johnson, and we're going to see they gave him different ways you can trim the fat, so to speak, and make it more affordable, and also bring down the budget, but Brandon Johnson declined for whatever reason. Now let's get to that.
Chicago alders have rejected Mayor Brandon Johnson's controversial corporate head tax, but the mayor says his fight is just beginning.
WGN political reporter Tamon Bradley is live outside City Hall right now, where both sides are digging in their heels. And Tamon, the big question is, where do we go from here? How do we get this resolved?
Lourdes and Ray, good evening. The mayor's hand-picked finance chair, who opposed the mayor's tax package, tried to bail him out. She tried to delay today's vote, but the alders wanted to have it. They wanted to say no to the mayor's plan. Today, a stunning defeat. The City Council Finance Committee rejected Mayor Brandon Johnson's tax the rich revenue proposal, resetting budget negotiations.
The prevailing side has bought some time for taxpayers in the city of Chicago so the mayor can go back and get this right.
Until they start accepting the fact that there are solutions on the table, we have to stand up and push back against this budget.
We have to have a balanced approach to this. And what we've done so far hasn't been it. Now the real work begins.
10 alders voted in favor of the plan, 25 against it, including the mayor's hand-picked finance chair, Alderwoman Pat Dow. The vote was reminiscent of last year's.
So his own committee voted against Brandon Johnson. his hand-picked members that he picked to be in these positions, 25-10, he took an L. That's how bad this budget is.
Here's 50-0 council roll call rejecting the mayor's $300 million property tax hike. After today's vote, Mayor Johnson called for a timeout, a recess until the first week of December. But the mayor said he's not backing down in his push for progressive revenue.
There are two options here. We challenge these big corporations and the ultra rich to put more skin in the game, or you ask people who are standing in line for bread, milk, and food and clothing, ask them to put more skin in the game.
The Johnson administration lobbied hard.
Well, it's another option that Mayor Brandon Johnson forgot, and that's the option that the committee presented, and that would be the cuts to the spending that would save you hundreds of millions of dollars. And I would allege that a lot of those cuts that the committee is suggesting is for illegal immigration. And that's why he doesn't want to, you know how Mayor Brandon Johnson loves illegal immigrants. So that would be my guess.
Hard over the weekend, even this morning, but they failed to convince alders to sign off on reviving a corporate head tax. Also shot down today, the mayor's plan to borrow $1.8 billion, the bulk of which would have been used on capital projects.
You can't just be a no. You have to find ways.
He's trying to borrow $1.8 million when you mismanaged the other almost $500 million that you got the first time. Now you want to borrow almost $2 billion? Wow.
Is to actually come up with solutions so that we can actually have a real debate.
The mayor says he wants alders to bring him revenue ideas, but he'll veto a property tax increase, a grocery tax, or a hike in the garbage collection fee.
I've done my part. I've done my part. The real question should be, what else can these alders who oppose challenging these big corporations to put more skin in the game? The question is, what can they do?
Where the mayor and alders go from here is anybody's guess. Those alders opposed to the head tax say that they want it to go away. They want that they hope that it's dead. The mayor, though, says he's going to push forward with it. The council has until the end of the year to pass a budget. Live to.
All right. Now you see that. Now you see it's going down. It's like a Mexican standoff between the mayor and the alderman, right? It's like a Mexican standoff right there. So, you know, at the end of the day, they presented him with certain cuts, and these cuts are something like what Elon Musk and Doge did on a federal level. They went through and saw what was the misspending. Like, okay, we could cut this, we could cut that. I mean, and to them, to the auditors, it seemed like really logical, you know, that why wouldn't you want to cut this? Now, they didn't get into specifics, but like I said, I'm a legend. A lot of those cuts are monies, allegedly, that will go to illegal immigration. In turn, those are money laundering. You know, Chicago's very corrupt. So let's get into that, what the alders had to say further about this situation, to the cuts that they could do, but Mayor Johnson rejected.
At City Hall, the battle over Mayor Brandon Johnson's budget intensifies.
And today, a group of city council members accused the mayor of ignoring key recommendations from consultants they say cost taxpayers millions of dollars. And WGN political reporter Taman Bradley is here to tell us more about this verbal battle. Taman?
Ray and Lourdes, last week, a majority of alders came out against Mayor Johnson's plan to revive the corporate head tax. This week, 10 alders want a special meeting to grill independent accountants who audited city finances. Today, opponents of Mayor Johnson's budget proposal set a confrontation for next week. The group filed papers to call an emergency city council meeting for next Monday.
They put it in these are, let's be clear, how this because we can't brush over this. This is very significant. These are professional auditors. This is what they do by trade. This is their job, to go in and find things to eliminate that you're spending too much money here. This is unnecessary. They called an emergency meeting with the mayor of Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson. This is emergency. If you go forward with this, in other words, you're destined to fail. And what's really hard to see is, this is going to affect the Chicago citizens the most, the homeowners, the people that provide real estate for people that rent apartments. This put everybody in a messed up situation when your policies are pushing out the biggest tax support that you have, which was downtown Chicago. Now, these auditors come in, these are professionals. Mayor Brandon Johnson, he a social studies teacher by trade before he became mayor. He don't have no experience trying to tell these professionals what he ain't gonna do. I just wanted to make sure I'm gonna shut up and let this play, but I just want to let you know the audacity of the mayor to not take their advice. And they're gonna break it down a little bit more.
The subject, an EY accounting firm audit of the Chicago budget.
Those findings should not be sitting in a shelf. They should be discussed openly, questioned publicly, and considered carefully as part of our budgeting process.
As you know, we're close to $1.2 billion in the hole this year. We are looking for hundreds of millions of dollars that were proposed inefficiencies in this report.
In May, the city gave EY, also known as Ernst & Young, a $3.2 million contract to study the budget and find sources of new revenue and ways to find savings. The mayor's proposed budget lays out $80 million in cost reductions, but the alders question why Mayor Johnson did not adopt all of the EY recommendations.
Now, Mayor Brandon Johnson, he just used $80 million. That don't put a dent in $1.2 billion. He said, man, I gave this man hundreds of millions of money that he could save, and he only used 80 million. And he's trying to wonder why. I could tell you why, allegedly. You know what I'm alleging. I ain't even got to tell y'all what I'm alleging.
What we've seen is that the administration has only chosen a couple small things out of this document to move forward with, when they have the full opportunity here to take dozens of those efficiencies to create a better situation for taxpayers.
Bam! He just said it right there. You got dozens, but you only used a couple cuts. Well, you could use dozens. What's to that?
And they've refused to do that.
A spokesperson for Mayor Johnson says alders were briefed on what was incorporated from the EY report and that the administration is willing to meet again. The mayor's office is in the process of securing a date and time that works for alders sometime this week or next, Johnson spokesperson said in a statement.
We've balanced budgets off the backs of working people. I'm going to defend the working people in this city with everything that I have inside.
That's cap. Look at him. He capping. See, he know they're going to zoom in on him at this particular. He's an actor. They're going to zoom in at him and get this sound bite. Like, oh, yeah, I'm here for the... No, you're not. You're not here for the working class people. You're doing the polar opposite of what would be done to save them, a quadruple amount on their property tax by not adhering to these cuts in efficiency that these professionals have suggested.
Inside of me.
The alders calling to meet are not just suspicious of savings in the mayor's budget, they're also concerned about his planned borrowing and progressive revenue, which includes the return of a corporate head tax.
With the head tax, with the smart tax, some of these other things, there's no data behind those that they have shown us.
This administration was looking to do a budget vote on November 20th. That's 17 days from now. How anybody in this city council can feel that we're ready EY is a global firm. They are one of the most respected in the business. We think it's very important that they come before us and lift up the hood.
The mayor's office prefers a subject matter hearing on the EY report, but if the alders insist on having a full council meeting, they'll need 26 members to show up in order to conduct business. This dust-up, just another sign that the alders remain far apart on a budget deal. Rand Lourdes?
Yeah, we'll see how all this ends.
Yeah, we're going to see, man. As you can see, man, it's crazy out here, right? The mayor and the auditors and the aldermen not seeing eye to eye. His own cabinet is voting against him because they know if they vote to do what Mayor Brandon Johnson is talking about, they're going to push out more businesses than they already have. A lot of businesses have left the downtown Chicago area, which are the central hub of our economy in Chicago. You know, they left. Now, if you do this head tax and this media tax, if y'all go forward with that, you're going to push out even more business owners and things of that nature, which is the largest part of your tax bracket. You want to lower taxes for those people specifically. Everybody, really. All you have to do is go in and do a department of efficiency. Just like with Doge, you know what I'm saying? But this would be on a state or local level. You know what I'm saying? And the results are tremendous for the Chicago residents. And I want to show what I'm talking about in real time. You know what I'm saying? What people are going through. And they just opened up these letters the day before yesterday. You know what I'm saying? To their surprise, they didn't get no warning. They just opened up their mail. Didn't know that they probably thought their taxes was going to get raised a little bit, but their property taxes went through the roof. So let's get to this, man. This is crazy.
That's right, Terrell and Cheryl. Property taxes are up for many of us, but the I-Team is looking into one case where a family says their modest apartment complex could go bankrupt. That's because they're faced with a 440% increase in property taxes.
This 700 square foot one bedroom apartment will now cost Michael Markellos $17,494 in property taxes for 1 year.
This has put us in a tremendous financial bind because the building now has gone negative between all the bills.
Markellos and his mother own this 10-unit Lincoln Park apartment complex. Last year's tax bill for all 10 units combined was $23,674. But now look at this. The same 10 units are now $128,282 this year.
Woo! Hold on. We can't breeze past that, bro. We cannot breeze past that. That's a shame, bro. You mean to tell me last year, for 10 units, one bedroom apartments, they paid $23,000. This year, they're paying $128,000 and change. You went way above 100% increase. That's it. You paying an extra $105,000. You see what I'm saying? This is Mayor Johnson's tax hike, what Chicago homeowners need to know. And these socialist, communist, democratic policies that these blue cities and blue states have, this is what's happening. Meanwhile, in red states like Florida, they trying to find ways to eliminate property taxes altogether. This is what we're talking about, man. It should be a no-brainer at this point who the problem is, right? But let's continue, because I mean, that is crazy, man. And matter of fact, I want to run that back a little bit, because We got to hear that again. That's astronomical.
$23,674. But now look at this. The same 10 units are now $128,282 this year, up 440%.
I was outraged. These are basically simple one-bedroom apartments for people, for college graduates who work downtown.
The majority of the annual increases are from the latest installment of tax bills just sent out at the beginning of December. The payment is due before the end of the year. And in just a few months, another installment of taxes will be due.
Merry Christmas and Happy Valentine's Day.
Markello says the only way to pay for the recent tax hike would be to raise the rent on the one-bedroom apartments.
I mean, what else can you do? I mean, you got to raise it. You got to raise the rent significantly. Like, if they rent was already like, what? Let's just say for that is anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 in Chicago. I'm being modest. Now, if you really trying to see a profit or be able to, not even a profit, just trying to make sure you can cover your expenses as a realtor, that has units. I mean, you probably got to put an extra $300-400 on people's rent, bare minimum. You know what I'm saying? Like an extra $100 ain't gonna cut it. You have to put a few on there, maybe even $500. Like my rent, I'm just saying the trickle down effect of the policies of Mayor Brandon Johnson, when he could easily find efficiency. That's why I wanted to start out with that. Key word for this is efficiency. He rather go this route, and it ain't gonna fall on the ultra wealthy because they just gonna get up out of here. It's gonna fall on people like this man that have to bear the brunt.
The increase, he says, would scare renters away.
They have to go up to $5,000-6,000 to pay all the bills.
And no one's going to pay that.
Well, who in their right mind is going to pay for it?
Markello.
Damn, he said he got to pay for a one bedroom. I was way off. I said a few hundred. He said $5,000-6,000. God. He know there ain't nobody gonna pay that.
His attorney is appealing the increase with the Board of Review and the Cook County Assessor's Office, which assesses properties and determines how much to bill.
How hard is this for you?
Financially, it's putting the building in bankruptcy.
What are you going to do?
I don't know yet. I'm hoping someone like you could help me.
We also asked the assessor's office about the 440% increase. A spokesperson says it's due to the assessor's change in how these types of properties are now classified by the county. They say these types of buildings were unfairly classified as commercial properties. As of 2021, they are now considered residential properties, adding that the previous classification gave unfair tax advantages. The assessor
Man, it just sound like they just made up a whole bunch of whatever just to raise everything up. We got to reassess it. No, you trying to cover your budget, so you taxing me on the back end.
Assessor's office added that since Markellos and his family are the only owners of the building, they can apply to get the property reclassified as commercial to possibly bring down next year's bill.
I would like the assessor to come out here and just take a look at this unit and tell me this is worth $17,000 in taxes.
Wow, he's not the only person dealing with higher bills. The Cook County Treasurer's Office, which distributes and collects the bills, recently conducted a study showing that property taxes across the county rose $614 million this year. That's up 3.8%. Terrell Sherrill, Latino neighborhoods in gentrifying areas are seeing the biggest increases, 20 to 46%. So a lot of us can relate to this.
Yeah, we can.
Man. Well, you see that, and you see how crazy it is, man. Now that's a guy that's a realtor. You know what I'm saying? Him and his mom own an apartment complex of 10 1-bedroom apartments that they rent out to other people. And you see what he's dealing with. He like, man, I was hoping you can help me out. You know, I don't know what to do. I mean, how can you go from 20,000 a year to 100 and basically 30,000? Crazy. But another thing I want to show you is, yeah, man, I want this ain't affecting, you know, realtors. It's affecting people that pay mortgages and pay rent too. You know what I'm saying? Like I say all the time, I hear my mom complaining about how much her property taxes is going up. I hear other people all the time talking about how much their property and their rent keep going up. And this is why, man. This is what you need to know. So next time it's time to vote, y'all consider this stuff, man. This is some real good information to know why you got groups out here like Chicago Flip Red trying to pull your coattail, you know? And these are people, man, when they got their bills.
Well, this month, some homeowners in Cook County in for a shock when it comes to their property tax bills. Some bills going up 100%. Cook County Treasurer's Office did a property tax analysis, and Treasurer Maria Pappas joining me now to talk about that study. I really appreciate you being here, Treasurer. So let's just get right to it. I mean, the sticker shock is real. What did your office find?
We found that when commercial went down, residences went up.
Well, partner body, I'm gonna let this video rock out, but this is giving this ain't the video I was intending on. I'm gonna get to that next, but this is basically further confirmation as to why everything is higher. She gonna break it down.
But when you say went up, we're talking by how much here?
By taxes. So it depends upon the neighborhood. Generally, across the city, everything's up 16%, which is kind of scary, okay? But in West Garfield Park, it's up 133%, okay? So in African-American neighborhoods, North Lawndale is up 98% and 82% in Englewood.
So bam. Now I want to stop there right there. She said West Garfield and Englewood, mainly Black and brown neighborhoods are getting hit the hardest, which are the poorest neighborhoods, some of the poorest neighborhoods, Englewood and all of that. So they taxing the poor, the middle and poor people the most. Because there's a lot of other areas that's got way more money than these areas. Why would y'all tax them the most? Because follow the correlation. That's where they send the illegal immigrants the most. Aha. So that's the part they not telling you. The part of the city that's getting taxed the most is the parts where they send the illegal immigrants the most. And that's the Black and brown neighborhoods. But let's continue.
You're saying, how in the world did this happen?
Yeah.
This happened because the commercial base of the city, all these high rises, commercial buildings that you see downtown are unrented because the businesses have left the city.
And that means they're not paying property tax.
Yeah, so somebody had to pick it up. So the residences are.
Bam. When all the businesses leave, all that debt that all that tax money that them businesses was paying, somebody got to cover it. Guess who next in line? The middle and lower class. They got to cover it because it got to get paid. That's the problem with socialist policies. You know, tax the rich. Okay. See, with the rich, they got the resources to get up and leave tomorrow. They don't like it. They'll take their whole business and go elsewhere, preferably to a red state where the taxes are low. See, we've seen this a million times happen over and over and over again. That's why I said, Mayor Brandon Johnson get out of there, you get another Democrat in there, you're going to have the same results because all their policies tend to be the same.
Are picking it up. So if you think about it, we had just done a study saying that African American and Latinos don't appeal their property taxes. Only 27,000 out of the 200,000 appealed. So the residences aren't appealing.
Now, that's another key note of information. He said African American and Latino property tax payers, a lot of them, they just get it in the mail and they don't appeal it. So who knew that? Who knew that you can say, wait a minute, this is too high. I need to appeal this. Share this video, share the information, because a lot of people probably don't know when y'all do get y'all property tax in Chicago and the surrounding areas, because they tax in the suburbs too. If it's too high to you, appeal it. You have that option. And 9 times out of 10, they going to do what they said, do a reassessment, and they'll lower it. 9 times out of 10, hopefully they would. But it's worth a try.
What can you do about it? We came up with a payment plan calculator. We have reduced interest rate from 18% to 9%. So not on December 15th, the due date, but on December 16th, you can go to my website and set up a 13-month payment plan. You don't have to pay. You don't have to pay on December 15th. You can pay December 16th by setting up a payment plan for 13 months. And that really helps people. The next thing that you can do is you need to vote. If you don't like this, you are part of the 80% of the people who did not vote in the last election. And I see this every day. Every day people are complaining to me. And so I'm like, did you vote? No. Did you vote? No. Did you vote? No. So you have to appeal as a resident. You have to get up, get out, and vote instead of complaining. And then the third thing is you need to read your tax bill. At the top of the tax bill, it says, where did your money go? If you look at where did your money go, what it tells you is that over 60% of the money in the city of Chicago is going to the Board of Education. Or in many instances, right up front, it will tell you the tax increment financing district that it's going to. So where does your money go shows you how much it went up and how much it went down and where it went. So I would say the most important thing here is to read your bill that I sent you. And it shows you who you're paying and what you're paying. You have the opportunity once a year for every government that's listed on the left-hand side of your bill to go to a public hearing. Right now, you could go to the city of Chicago and voice your opinion, but nobody knows that there's a public hearing to go to.
Yeah. What needs to, I mean, because this is going to be devastating for thousands, tens of thousands potentially of people, I mean, of homeowners. If their bill goes up anywhere from 16 to 100%. So what needs to change other than voting and appealing?
I'll tell you.
What needs to change so that this burden doesn't continue to fall on homeowners?
If I have $1,000 and I spend $2,000, I'm in trouble. The city of Chicago last year spent an extra $600 million. So
now my question is, spent the extra $600 million on what? Right? Because the schools are still, you know, I mean, you drive past some of these grammar schools, they look like haunted houses. The roads are you got potholes everywhere. I mean, what did you spend the $600 million on? When we are at the school system, while we're talking about that, at a $734 million deficit. And we got an ex-social studies teacher as the mayor. It's insane. You know? But let's continue.
It's got to come from somewhere.
No, it's got to come. No, you got to stop spending.
Well, right. No, I understand that. I understand that.
If you stop spending, but if you stop increasing the spending, then the bills are going to go flat.
Yeah.
It won't go up. But if you keep saying that I only have 1,000 and every year I'm going to spend 5,000, you're going to have properties that jump from 1,000 every time the bill comes out to 5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
and that's
is
really
just devastating.
You know, it's really hard when SNAP benefits are being, tossed out.
Well, and
electric bills,
inflation,
gas bills,
right.
it's Thanksgiving, the cost of ham's going up, the cost of turkey's going up,
Yeah.
I mean, some people might just be eating dressing because they can't afford the rest.
Well, I appreciate your sharing some of the results of your.
Man, a shame, man. A shame, a shame, a shame. That's why I want to do this video, man, because people need to know this, man. Like, like even with the, you can appeal the tax, the property tax. You know what I'm saying? You got people out here, man. Like I said, I got another video, and I'm gonna get straight to it because we got to get up out of here, man. In a few, but yeah, people was out here. They had a bonfire, burning up the fire, man. Burning up their property taxes and things, man. But in any event, let's get to this video, man. It just really bothers me, man. Because these politicians, they so dirty. And they play so many games, man. With people livelihood, man. And that's why I say we gotta get some change out here. Because let me tell you something. If you got the Democrats, they just know we gonna vote for them. They ain't gotta compete for our vote. And if we got the Republicans, they just know we ain't gonna vote for them. They ain't even gonna try. So you got one party that just already know you gonna vote for them, and you got another party that don't even consider you. We gotta make ourselves a factor in the political realm. People say they don't care about politics, but politics are everything that affects your affordability and your quality of life in this world. So you have to get involved. I'm a big component in becoming politically aware. Get some awareness to this and spread the word, man. Hit the like button, share, comment, man. Let's get this information out here to the people, especially in Chicago and all these blue states, man, because we have to be informed because it does affect our quality of life.
Joining us now for a reaction, Chicago resident and from the group Chicago Red that aims to turn Illinois into a Republican state, member P. Ray Easley. P. Ray, these Democrats in the state of Illinois, they're such a bunch of phonies. They talk about affordability. They attack Trump on things like inflation that he inherited from Biden. And then they're jacking up everybody's taxes in Chicago and Illinois, doubling and tripling the property taxes. I mean, Illinois voters already paid the second highest property tax rate in the United States behind New Jersey.
It's actually right in line with what the Democrats were doing. The reason that our property taxes have gone up astronomically is because of the legislation that's coming out of the Illinois State House, specifically the Safety Act, that has made us a lot less safe. We have billionaire philanthropists like Ken Griffin, who, by the way, we miss you, Ken, come home. But he took his business, the Citadel, out of Chicago. He himself was paying $200 million a year in taxes. So when we have companies.
Ooh, now see what she said right there? That's just one company that was paying $200 million in taxes that left. That's a huge, that's a huge, just for one individual company, that's a huge loss, man. That's a huge L. When you push people out and resources out like that of the city, all of that he's not paying, somebody has to cover it. And it falls on the middle class and the poor, the lower. You know what I'm saying? If the rich get pushed out.
Companies like the Citadel and Boeing and Caterpillar who are leaving our downtown, now we have a higher vacancy rate, and those commercial taxes are being shifted on to the homeowners.
So does Mayor Johnson, does Pritzker see that they're losing businesses because they're so backwards with their tax structure. I mean, for example, Cook County in Illinois, it's among the nation's most expensive for property taxes. Property
Correct.
taxes there, it's more than what the typical homeowner in California's Orange County or LA County or San Diego County pay. I mean, so, and it's now turning into a ghost town for businesses in Illinois with how they're just so flawed in how they're approaching the tax structure.
So the issue is that we don't have enough commercial businesses paying property taxes. And those commercial businesses that are downtown are able to take advantage of tax reassessments. So then that lowers their tax contribution by 20%. And then again, that all gets shifted onto the taxpayer.
See, there go that word again, tax reassessment. Now, if the companies could do it, that's another thing that homeowners need to be aware of. This is why you got to pay attention to this type of stuff, because then you can go down there and have your taxes lowered.
We are dealing with Democratic progressive failure here in the city of Chicago, and today is the day that the bill has come due. We cannot afford the migrants, and we definitely cannot afford to continue to victimize villains at the expense of the business community that then pushes that onto the homeowners.
P. Ray Easley, I'm so sorry you guys are enduring this. P. Ray Easley from Chicago Red, thank you so much. It's good to see you back on the show.
Now, I'm happy she said that about the migrants, right? Because that was very important. You know what I'm saying? Because that's about the only person that said that, you know what I'm saying, straight out. So I'm not going to make this too much more longer. We're going to get up out of here. But in closing, Mayor Johnson's tax hike, what Chicago homeowners need to know. I think we covered a lot. Unfortunately, you know, people got they catching on, but they catching on too late. You know what I'm saying? Because this could have been avoided if more people got involved. I see grassroots groups like Chicago Red, like P. Ray that was just talking, and Chicago Flips Red out here. They being more proactive and putting out the information and going down there and pressing City Hall about these issues. And to know that Mayor Brandon Johnson does have alternatives, because an audit team of professionals gave him different leeways and different cuts to the budget that he could cut spending, opposed to raising taxes on the ultra wealthy, which pushes them out of the downtown metropolitan areas, and then they go into other states and cities to build up those economies, while the brunt of the financial burden has not only doubled but tripled, in some cases quadrupled, the property taxes for the citizens here that are middle class and lower. That's a cold-blooded demonstration. But hey, man, what say you? It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. We love y'all. Until next time, we should see you soon. Peace and blessings.